All right. Well, I guess we should go ahead and get started. Grab your coffee, tea, hot milk, hot water. I don't care what you drink. Just grab something that's comforting to you and let's chat for a minute. You know, I do this show every day, Monday through Friday, get up at 5:30, and I've been feeling a little unmotivated lately, right? Sure, it's summer, and we all slow down a little bit in the summer. There's so many things to do, and the heat. Nobody's anxious to get to work in the heat. And then, of course, I got a list of projects, poems, crafts, art projects that I want to do. I'm just not working on them right now, right? Like I said, having a little trouble with motivation in the show. Motivation to well, not just show up, because I am here every morning and I do that, but you know, be here prepared, prepared to dazzle. But the prep work, there's a significant amount. I won't say significant. There is an amount of work that goes into preparing the show, writing the show ahead of time, doing the research, right? And then post-production, I do a little editing, add some keywords, Anyway, finding the trouble to get motivated to do more than just kind of show up and do the show. And it's really hard for me. It was really hard for me. I started thinking about it. It was a little bit hard to understand, how can I lack motivation for something I love doing so much, right? Something that I am so excited to, have looked forward to for such a long time. So I thought for today we would look into motivation, right? And inspiration, and see if we can understand what's going on when we kind of lose our curb, when we kind of curb our enthusiasm, or when we kind of lose our inspiration to keep on keeping on, is what we have to say. How do we have enthusiasm for something one day, and then a few days later or another time lose that enthusiasm for the very exact same thing, right? Motivation. Motivation is what causes us to take action, right? Motivation causes us to act, create motion, growth, change, feel alive and accomplished, masterful, significant, through experiencing how we can impact the world and create more of what we love in it. Right? Motivation is great. We all want it. Yay! But a lack of motivation can literally ruin your life. It can cripple you from taking any action. It's, let's face facts. Motivation is central to creativity, to productivity, to ultimately to happiness, since happiness comes from how you feel about yourself and what you're creating and putting out into the world. So we get the word, and we're going to use the word demotivated, right? Demotivated. And the thing is, motivation is just one word. So we think of it as just one thing, right? I'm not motivated. And then perhaps we just think there's just one solution, right? Work harder, try harder. But the truth is, motivation is a complex. It has a lot of reasons, and a couple different reasons, and there's some different things you can do about it. And let's face it, the try harder strategy, boy, that just hard makes it. That's just hard on everybody, right? That's just like powering through. That's like muscling through. Maybe there's an easier way to put the peg in the hole. The try harder method just says, just get it in there, right? Instead of stepping back and understanding, why don't I feel like putting it in there today? So that's what we're going to talk about today. What are the reasons? What happens, and what causes that lack of motivation that sometimes can grab us and rob us of the will or the energy or the interest in doing something that we love to do, or that we know is going to bring us that fulfillment when we do it. Okay, so why are we not motivated? Well, one of the reasons is fear. Simply put, we are afraid, and fear, because of that, we avoid going forward, right? Even if it's someplace we really want to go, or something we really want to do, fear slows you down, makes you hesitant and question everything you know. I mean, and that fear can be justified or unjustified. It doesn't matter. It will still stop you in your tracks. And to get back to being motivated, you actually have to deal with the fear, right? So I realized recently, I've been talking to a friend, and I've been talking about aspirations and goals. And I dared to name out loud some really big goals, bigger than maybe my little ego brain was ready to take on, right? Big goals: growing my show, growing the online presence, having a national presence, speaking on a bigger stage, reaching more people, having my own talk show, right? I started to speaking in front of crowds of thousands. I started to express these desires, and honestly, these dreams were so big, I think I scared myself, because maybe that's what's messing with my motivation this last couple weeks, because I started talking about bigger dreams and bigger ideas that sometimes feel bigger than me, bigger than my talent, bigger than what like again, my little ego brain says bigger than what I'm capable of. But good morning, Debbie. But the truth is, I firmly believe that God doesn't give us a dream that we are not able to accomplish, right? God, He doesn't put a desire, a burning, lifelong dream into us. That's me, right? That's my lifelong dream, to be on the big stage, to speak to thousands of people, to have an impact, to have something so important to say that people, they're touched by it and they remember it, and maybe it helps them at some point in their lives. This is my lifelong dream since I was a tiny child. I always knew I needed to be on the stage. Not a great actress, not a great singer. How am I getting there, right? Well, I'm good at one thing. I'm a pretty good talker. So here I am. So I started talking about these dreams. And I will tell you, that fear was real. That fear that I even had the nerve to say those dreams out loud to someone, put a fear in me that started impacting my motivation, that started making me, do I really want to do this? Am I really that, is anybody really interested in what I have to say? Is anybody really listening? Am I really making a difference? So you cannot overcome the motivation thing without dealing with the fears. If the fear is what's impacting your motivation, right? So looking at me, I got a pretty clear path. I got a pretty straight line from fear to lack of motivation here. So what do we do? Well, you start by naming the fear, right? You start by saying it out loud. I am afraid my dreams are bigger than my talent. That's me. Okay, I said it, right? You say whatever you're afraid of, and no matter how big it is, just say it. Because it minimizes the fear just to say it out loud. Things seem so much bigger and so much scarier in our heads when they're ether, when they're ideas, and they're on us, right? But you put them into words. You say what you think, and you're like, okay, I'm afraid I have a dream bigger than I have the talent to accomplish. Okay, I can say that out loud, right? Then you thank your fears. Gently thank them, because fear is a survival instinct. We have fear to help us stay out of danger, right? So that fear is there to protect me from doing foolish things. So gently thank the fear. Thank you, fear. Thank you for looking out for me. Thank you for being there when I need you, because I do some stupid things sometimes. I do need a little check going on there. But this time, I'm going to look at you really hard, and I'm going to say thank you. And then I'm going to say thank you and set it aside. I understand your fear, but there's no real danger here, so I can move forward, is what I'm saying to myself. And then I ask, why am I afraid of this happening? Right? Whatever you just stated, what's your fear? Why are you afraid of this happening? Well, for me, because it could be embarrassing. or it could leave me really sad to try to accomplish something and not have the chops to get it done. That would leave me really sad, right? And it would be a little embarrassing because I'm putting myself out here saying, oh, I can do this. And then maybe there's no audience. Maybe I'm not going to grow to be fabulously famous and successful and on the giant stage, right? Okay. I can live with that, right? That's what you're going to say to yourself. You're going to say, this is my fear. This is what could happen. I got it. I got this. I don't think it will happen. I think my willingness to do this and my commitment to show up every day and with a little help and direction and investment, I can make this grow. And then we'll see what happens. But I can live with it not being successful. What I can't live with is not trying, not attempting it. So know a little fear. So next time now, and now moving forward, now I kind of recognize this fear, right? When this motivation starts happening to me again, this demotivation, this lack of motivation, the next time I'll be able to say to myself, oh, okay, here's that fear thing sticking its head up again. No, thank you. Step back. Thank you, fear, but it's not your turn. Step back. We have things to do. All right. That's one reason you might not be motivated. Another one is, let's say you have some goals, but you just find yourself never working on your goals, or you're not putting your effort into it that you'd want to. Well, see, we have two sides to ourselves. We have our self, right? We have our inside self, what's going on inside your brain. And then we have what they call your social self. So our inside self, this is where we're spontaneous, creative, playful. We are the person we want to be, right? In here. Then there's the social self, a representative, who spent a lifetime learning to fit in, to be a good citizen, to be a good family member, to be a friend, to learn all the rules, to fit in with the tribe, to stay safe by fitting in, right? So sometimes when we set goals, we're really setting goals with the intention of fitting in, impressing the tribe. Your social self that craves acceptance, right? Craves that safety of being a solid member of the group, sets goals that keep you safe. And that makes sense, but those goals might be out of whack with your inside self, with the self who you want to be, right? With the self of what serves you, not the tribe. So what do? Now I say, okay, let me think about these goals. So now it's time to review those goals, to really look at your objectives and really say, am I moving forward? Am I not moving forward because I just don't want to do this? Why did I want to do this? Why did I set this goal? Because truth is, if you're not moving forward with it, maybe you really don't want to do it, right? Maybe it's just a social goal that you feel like you should. It's a should goal. I should exercise more. So I'm going to have this is me 100%. I should exercise more. So I set goals for exercise, but I don't do them. I don't like it. I don't like exercise. So I realize now I don't exercise. So now I use alternate forms. I dance, I walk, I play with grandkids, I garden, I do things that are active and require of me actively to keep my body in shape. But counting down a bunch of reps is probably not going to happen for me. And how do you know this? How do you know if you are in a social goal, if you've set a goal? Because sometimes, a little cloudy up there. We don't always know. How do you know if it's a social goal or if it's really something that suits you? Well, pay attention to your body, right? Notice how your body responds when you say the goal to yourself. When your body tightens up, when we start restricting, right? When your gut clenches, when you're thinking about this goal, this is a good indication this is not a goal. This is not a good goal for you, right? This is your body saying, danger, Will Robinson, I don't want to do this. Pay attention to our bodies. When you have a joyful goal, when it's something you really want, we open up, right? Everything opens, our brain expands, we stand up straighter, We our eyes open wider, right? We expand and feel joy when we're moving towards something we want. If you're not feeling that, go back and examine that goal. Do you really want to do that? That's the question, right? Question all the goals that you think you should do. What makes your heart sing? What makes you lose track of time? What makes you can't wait to get up in the morning to get started? If your goal doesn't have those elements, it's probably not your goal. All right. Now, here's a big one. Another reason we are lack of motivated is because we just don't know what we want. I'm amazed at the number of times I talk to people and I ask them, boy, what would you really love doing that simply makes you happy? And they don't know. And you haven't really clearly articulated what you want. Well, where's your target, right? You're shooting at a fuzzy target in a foggy haze. Little chance of getting a good aim, right? You don't know what you're shooting at. We like what's familiar. We like what we know, right? So we recreate what's familiar over and over again. But to grow, to move beyond, to do something, we have to do something new. We got to go out into that space that's vague and unfamiliar and step out of the comfort zone. We have to move past the familiar to get it done. If you don't know exactly what you want, it makes sense that you don't have the motivation to get it. So think clearly about your goals. Write down what you want to do. If it doesn't feel right, keep messing with that statement. Try things. And I think I want to do this, so try it. If you don't get the feeling of I can't wait to do it again, you don't really want to do it. Find something next thing. Your job is, happiness is, a happy life is filling those goals and objectives with things that make your heart sing, things you can't wait to do. I'm not talking about chores or duty, right? We're not talking about obligations or responsibilities here. We're talking about what you're doing for you to grow yourself into the person you want to be, beyond who you are today. I'm assuming that's you because you're watching this show. If you don't want to grow, you wouldn't be here. You'd be happy with exactly the way things are. So let's picture a person without motivation, right? What does a person without motivation look like? Well, stiff shoulders, right? Maybe you got a disappointment on your face. Disappointing hangdog expression. Move kind of slowly. Not motivated. Now let's imagine a motivated person, right? Head up, brisk walk, shoulders squared, eyes open, excited look on their face, right? Did you know that you can actually motivate yourself by acting like a motivated person? I know it's the old fake it till you make it strategy, right? But square your shoulders, stand up straight, hold your head up, be excited, move quickly, move forward, and get the motivation. Motion, right? Motion leads to motivation. That is the secret. Study yourself when you are motivated. What do you do? What actions do you take? How do you stand? How do you be? How do you be? And then mimic that when you're feeling not motivated. Mimic yourself. Take your unmotivated self and mimic your motivated self. And it will not be long before the mind catches up with the body and you are motivated and you are in the moment. Sometimes it's all about action. Do some jumping jacks, right? Run in place a little. Jump as high as you can and yell, woohoo! That'll get your attention. You'll get your attention. You'll get your motivation going. And then sometimes we are not motivated because our goals just aren't big enough, right? We may think we're not big enough. So we may set small goals, hedge our bets, right? Shoot low to make sure that we can hit the target. But this is limiting. This is limiting our goals and our desires, limits our behavior, limits our motivation. When you limit your potential success, you limit what you're willing to do to achieve that success. Well, I probably can't get that done anyway, so there's no point in my doing this. No, right? When you limit your potential success, you limit what you're willing to do to achieve it, which limits your motivation and your general sense of the goal itself or about life itself. You're putting limits on yourself. The rule of thumb is known as the 10x rule. Set targets that are 10 times what you think you want, and then do 10 times what you think you must do to accomplish them. That's a goal. Better to shoot for the stars and arrive at the clouds, right? Stretch goals, they call them. Set stretch goals. They spur you on. They make you work harder. Make you aspire higher. When you demand more of yourself, you achieve more. You learn more. You do more. You have more pride, more sense of accomplishment, more confidence, knowing that you were able to meet the stretch. Another reason that we lack motivation sometimes is from a feeling of a lack of autonomy or a feeling of being in control. We have a decision-making part of our brain, right? And that part needs to be exercised. It needs to be used. Studies show that people suffering from depression have a less developed decision-making part in their brain. But the good news is, it's a use it or lose it kind of proposition, but the good news is you can develop that. You can change that if yours is not where it should be by just simply making decisions, right? Well, what they found, the studies showed that when people did practice making decisions, the depression actually went away, right? Sometimes depression is caused from this lack of autonomy. Well, that's a big statement, but this lack of autonomy can leave us unmotivated to follow any goals, right? Having the ability to decide what we do, when we do it, how we do it, with whom we do it, it's igniting, sustaining, it's motivating. That's where our creativity and productivity come. So look at what decisions and controls are out of your grasp. Maybe that's causing you a lack of motivation because you are trying to do, again, we're back to the should goals, right? Somebody else's words. Or maybe there's some way you can exercise control, be part of decisions that you're not part of. Or maybe you just need to make some decisions. Sometimes it's not that we can't make decisions, it's just that we don't, right? And then the not making of the decision leads to this foggy lack of clarity, and then we're not motivated because we don't know where we're going in the fog. So take control. Do what makes you happy. Sometimes we are not motivated because we are not excited about giving up the parts that have to be given up in order to move forward. Change is hard, right? Especially at the beginning where everything is unfamiliar and uncomfortable. We're not good at it yet. I don't like this. I just want to go back to where I know how everything works. We start wondering if we shouldn't just go back to what we know, right? The old and familiar, even though this is someplace I know I want to go. Even I know the old way was not serving me well, but it is familiar, right? So we live in a little bit of confusion and self-doubt and mistrust and feeling lost. We may go through a little depression. Now, in her book, Finding Your Own North Star, Martha Beck, she calls this the death and rebirth phase. And it's the beginning of all change. So be prepared for it, right? Know that it's coming. When it comes, say, oh, here's that death and rebirth thing. Here's that uncomfortable feeling because this is all new and different for me right now. Be prepared. Be gentle with yourself. Change is hard. Letting go is hard. Developing new habits is hard. Be kind to yourself. And finally, let's face the hard truth. Nobody's motivated all the time. Sometimes we may not be able to muster up the want to. I used to tell my kids all the time, but I don't want to. I'll tell them, you don't have to want to. You just have to do it. Wanting to is not part of the requirement, right? And this is really about habits, not about motivation. Some days you just have to show up and get it done, even when you're not motivated to do it. Habits. So, for instance, I didn't have to muster the motivation to get up this morning at 5:30 because it's a habit. I've been doing it for about 3 months every day. So it just is. It's what I do. Used to drag myself out of bed, but now it's a habit. I got a routine, right? Get up, I got my routine. I know what I do next. So you don't have to be motivated to do a habit. And that's just what we need sometimes, right? We just have to show up and get it done. So how do you develop habits? Well, here's a quick 5-step process from Dean Bakari. He's a blogger, and he says, here's his doable process about developing a new habit. Identify the habit. What do you want to do? Say, I want to go to the gym. I want to write every day. I'm going to exercise. Whatever is your goal. You're gonna state it, right? This, or whatever is your habit. This is the habit I want to develop. Then you're going to identify a cue. Every habit starts with a trigger. So create one that works for you. So for instance, I get up early. My alarm is my trigger to get up. Sometimes I do. I don't usually wake up at 5:30 on my own. I have an alarm. It's my cue. The bell rings. I'm like, time to get going. Identify, want to develop. Okay, so here's another example. Want to develop the habit of giving more compliments. Every time you see a person, every time you start to interact with a person, that's your trigger. That's your opportunity. That's your cue. Okay, it's an opportunity for me to use those compliments now. Then identify the reward. What is the reward you would like to give yourself for doing the habit? I'd like to compliment more people. My reward is I love to make people happy. It makes people happy when you compliment them. So that's my reward, the smile on their face. A sense of accomplishment is I know if I do this, I have a sense of accomplishment if I get this done. Or my reward might be a little extra time in the morning. I get up early, so I have plenty of time in the morning. What's my reward for exercising? A fitter, healthier body. Whatever is the reward. State what's the reward you're going to get for developing this new habit. And then execute the routine. Then you got to do it, right? Okay, I said I was going to do it. I identified the cue. I identified the reward. Now I got to do it. Number 4 is just do it. Execute the routine. Do exactly what behavior you want to become a habit. And then finally, write it down. The most effective way to start a new habit is to make a plan in writing. It's a covenant. Writing, when you write things down, it's a covenant with you and yourself, right? It can be very simple. When this happens, when your cue happens, I will execute my routine because it provides me with my identified reward, right? When my alarm goes off at 5:30, I will jump up and get in the shower immediately, and this offers me enough time to not be rushed in the morning so that I can do a good show. Write yourself out a little plan, even if it's as simple and tiny as getting up in the morning. Write it down. Power in the pen. Power in committing to paper what you say you will do. At the end of the day, motivation comes from inside of us, right? It comes from working with meaningful and challenging goals that are clearly articulated. It comes from knowing the benefits in our lives for both working on and achieving our objectives. When our goals are aligned with our authentic selves, our true dreams and desires, motivation is there. Not something we need to work on, right? And then those lend themselves to developing daily habits and the willingness to do what we set our minds to do, even when we don't feel like it. So that's our show for today on motivation. Hope you're a little motivated to get out and get something done. Hope this helps you next time you're feeling a little demotivated to stop and think through, where is this coming from? Is this fear? Is this because I really don't know where I'm going? Is this because I really don't want to go where I said I wanted to go? All valid reasons, right? Just a conversation with yourself. All right, that's me for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will hope to see you again tomorrow on the next episode of Brewing Happiness. Until tomorrow, make it a happy day.